What is up, YouTube? I'm not going to hesitate, and today we're going to get straight into the video. It's not your program or your macros, it's you. If you don't have this, you will never be stage ready. Period. If you're serious about stepping on stage or leveling up your physique, listen up. Mental fortitude is your ability to endure discomfort, stay consistent, and override emotion with intent. Today I'm going to break down what it is, how to build it, and why it's the number one thing separating champions from hobbyists. This is especially prevalent within the last 4 weeks of prep when you're tired, you're hungry, your motivation is at an all-time low, sleep is also detrimental, and yet you're still checking the boxes, you're having your meals on plan, you're showing up to the gym, pushing your sets close to failure, making sure that you're maintaining muscle, losing fat, and getting peeled for the stage. Mental fortitude comes into play when it's 8 p.m. at night. You do have that pint of ice cream in the freezer still, but by bracing yourself mentally, you know the right decision, and you have to stick to it with conviction. And using mental fortitude, resilience, I know this sounds so trivial, but that decision can be make or break. You're allowing yourself to compromise your overarching goal for this prep in order to get instant gratification out of a pint of ice cream. And to keep it real, you're not gonna enjoy the whole process. That is the point. To achieve something extraordinary, that is the extent that you'll have to go to. Me personally, mental fortitude comes into play on a leg day. That's one reason why I do enjoy it, because I get to test myself mentally. Physically, it is hard. That is almost guaranteed every session in the gym. Taking a set to failure on chest mentally is always easier than taking a set to failure on a set of squats, RDLs, or a leg press. Just knowing that extra rep, that extra 2-3 reps, that is make or break. If you allow yourself to submit before you're finished, your mental fortitude is subpar. It's not going to allow you to evolve into the champion that you deserve to be. This is a trait that is necessary. How do you build mental fortitude? Okay. In the daily disciplines, right, you have to initially, right, it's something you build up. Think of it like a castle. And you can't just go from nothing to a walled fortress, right? You have to keep the small promises to yourself. If you have something that you neglect, be it simple as making your bed, brushing your teeth, having a shower, these sorts of things. I'm referencing someone that's starting from zero. I've been there. Deep depression, you have to build yourself out of that hole. Okay? Start by, if this is something that you struggle with or neglect, make the bed. Have a clean room. These are things, if you're spending a lot of time in that environment, will make a difference. And then brush your teeth twice a day. Have a shower once a day. Build that up. Movement. Have some form of movement. If you don't even get any exercise, start going for a walk. And then you have to progress one step at a time, these daily tasks that will build the discipline needed and reinforce that mental fortitude, that fortress that you're trying to build. In relation to prep, you have to embrace the suck. Embrace the discomfort. You're going to be hungry, okay? That's the reality of it. There's all these these hacks and these tricks, this food will keep you fuller for longer, but you can't escape the hunger, right? It also works inversely. So this is where being set on achieving something will keep you full. You know what I'm saying? You realizing that hunger is going to be a part of the journey to get you to fulfill that hunger to achieve that goal. And in the gym, you know, as I was saying, the hard sets are going to be mandatory. It is a given. The same thing that built the muscle will keep it. Obviously, it's easier to push a set when you're in a calorie surplus. When you're in a deficit, there needs to be a compensation there. Alright? Neural drive is going to be so high, you have to push those sets to failure. Another way to kind of reinforce your mental fortress, okay, is visualizing standing on that stage or being at that event, and in this moment, am I doing enough for today, for right now, in relation to standing on that stage? Did I leave anything on the table? Did I give everything I could in this present moment to fulfill that? Another tool to utilize is social accountability. So, again, in relation to bodybuilding, having a coach or a training partner. Social media can be great if you use it as a diary. You know, the entries are your recording your exercises to failure, you're showing your meal plans, what you're doing day to day, and just like a muscle, going through progressive stress overload or exposure is going to increase your capability to handle that, to block out the noise, and execute what needs to be done. Mental fortitude isn't optional, it's the foundation, but it is trainable. You don't have to be born with it, but you do have to choose it every day. For me personally, it's feeling weak in the gym. I love to throw the weight around, but that is not necessarily the goal, especially in the latter part of prep. Yes, I can still take my sets to failure, but I'm not going to be jumping up as quickly as I would in the off season. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.